Welcome to Psychically Speaking, the podcast where intuition meets inspiration. I'm Lisa Ann, your host, and I'm so glad you're here. Together, we'll learn, share, and grow through meaningful moments and new perspectives. So let's get started. Today's podcast comes from a blog I wrote many years ago. As you may know, I recently moved our website to an entirely new platform. As a result of that change, we are in the process of manually moving all my past blogs. And when I say we, I technically mean my awesome assistant, Kelly. She shared with me how much she loved this particular blog and suggested that it should actually be a podcast episode. So here we go. And thank you, Kelly, for the suggestion. Now, I want to take you on a journey, a walk down a dark street where something unexpected happens. This isn't just a story about something in the dark. It's about perception, experience, and how we see the world through our own personal lens. So let's begin. I want you to imagine that you're walking alone at night. The street is dimly lit, and up ahead you notice a pair of glowing eyes staring at you from behind a pile of garbage. Your heart beats faster, your steps slow, as your brain scrambles to process what's in front of you. You stop, and the eyes start moving towards you. Your heart races now. Your mind is spinning. Do I run? Do I stay? What is this? But before you can decide, the creature is upon you. And then you see it. It's a dog. A big, scruffy-looking dog. A dog with big teeth, growling, its ears pinned back, tail down. What do? Maybe you're an animal lover. Maybe you grew up with dogs, or you were raised on a farm. For you, this moment is filled with compassion. You kneel down, extend your hand gently, trying to reassure the dog. You wonder, is it lost? Is it hurt? What can I do to help? Or maybe you're not an animal person. Maybe when you were a child, a neighbor's dog attacked you. Maybe you still have a scar from that terrifying moment. For you, this situation is pure fear. You don't kneel down, you back away. You're calculating your escape, making sure you don't get hurt. Same street, same dog. Two completely different reactions. So what's the difference? It's our personal experiences. One person sees a lost, frightened animal. The other sees a possible threat. Neither reaction is wrong. Each is entirely shaped by the life that person has lived. And this brings us to something much bigger. Right now, we are living in a world where people are constantly at odds. Some say this is the worst time in history. Others say they've lived through worse. Some believe in one way of doing things, while others fiercely disagree. Some judge, some fear, and some even lash out. But the truth is, none of us can truly know what someone else has been through. Just like these two people who encountered the dog in the dark, our personal history shapes our view of the world. And yet, so often, we assume that our way of seeing things is the only way. We tell people what they should believe, how they should act, what they should do, without ever asking, what led them to think this way? Now, what if, instead of reacting, judging, or assuming, we paused? What if, instead of dismissing someone's perspective, we asked ourselves, I wonder what happened in their life that led them to believe that? Before we close out today's episode, I want to leave you with some questions to think about. Can you recall a time when your past experiences shaped your reaction to a situation. Have you ever misunderstood someone because you assumed they should react as you would? And what would change if you approached disagreement with curiosity instead of judgment? How can you practice stepping back before reacting to others? My hope for you is this. The next time someone says or does something you don't like, don't rush to label them as wrong. Instead, take a step back and say, I wonder what brought them to this place in life. And if someone judges, criticizes, or even bullies you, try not to take it personally. It's not about you. It's all about their experiences, their fears, and their journey. When we stop assuming and start understanding, that's when the real change begins. Now, as many of you know, I've been a professional psychic and healer for close to 30 years now. And I've shared many, many times my own journey of being judged, criticized, and yes, even bullied for what I do for a living. And it was a couple of years ago that someone was confronting me and explaining to me how I would be basically punished in the afterlife for my chosen field of work. And I remember for some reason on that day, I didn't feel the need to explain or defend myself. There was something in me that just switched. And instead of defending, I wanted to know where they were getting their viewpoint from. And instead of an argument, it turned into a discussion. And through that discussion, I was really able to understand where their belief system came from. And as the discussion continued, I ended up finding out that they really were not against what I did for a living. They were actually very curious about it. And as we talked even further, I was shocked to find out that they themselves had had many psychic and intuitive experiences throughout their life. But unlike me, they didn't have a supportive environment around them, so they had shut it down. By the end of our conversation, I had learned so much. And instead of ending on a bad note, it ended on a very good note. And both of us walked away, each of us taking away so much from the conversation. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Psychically Speaking. And I want to thank you for joining me today. If you loved this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could use a little inspiration. And remember to join me for my free live weekly happy hour with guided meditation via Zoom. For more information, visit spiritquestnc.com. Until next time, take care of yourself, embrace your light, trust your intuition, and keep growing.